Guys, what's going on? Thank you so much for coming back for another video. Holden has somehow not seen Constantine. Well, we just found out like 5 seconds ago. It's a good movie to start off, transitioning away from Halloween and going into other things now that the season's over. I think today's the first. Today's the first. I think it's a good one to go with. I have seen this movie probably like 10 times. I'm really excited to see what Holden thinks about it. And there's a lot of religious undertones and touching on religion. So that's another thing I want to see what Holden thinks about. But Jen, have you seen Constantine?
I have. I saw it when it first came out, so it's been a minute. I may have seen it a second time, but it's definitely been a while, but I really like it. Rachel Weisz is really good in this movie. Keanu Reeves is great as awesome, so I think it's really, really good. It's a little disturbing to me at times. It's a lot of like heavy material, I guess. So, but it's a very, very good movie. Very surprised Holden hasn't seen it as well. Like, I don't know how.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those movies, but being a one-off, you would think most people have seen it. But I'm thankful that he hasn't seen it, because then we wouldn't get this video. Holden, is there anything that you're wanting to see, or have you heard anything about it, or are you completely in the dark with Constantine?
Yeah, I know a lot about Constantine as far as the movie goes, and the actual guy, I guess. But as far as the movie goes, this has been one of the movies, like many movies that I haven't seen. There have been like chunks of time where I just happen to miss them. Constantine is one of them. I was the one that actually was like, I haven't seen Constantine, maybe we should watch that. And you're like, you haven't seen Constantine? It's been one that's been on my list to watch for forever. So I'm glad that we can finally knock it out, and love Keanu. I know very loosely about some of the things that happens in this, so I think I'll enjoy it.
All right, let's just get into the movie. Let's not talk about it. Let's go. Let's get into the movie.
Is this a real spear? A real thing? No.
It definitely exists in the Hollywood reality. I don't know if it's a real artifact or not.
I've never heard of it. Oh, is it the spear that stabbed Christ?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
How did it like stop and go around him?
So the spear gives you qualities if you possess it. That's how Court needs a little work. But.
The spear that punctured the side of Jesus gives you superpowers? Oh my gosh. She needs Jesus.
Very Matrix shot right there.
Oh, that's the one. Shia.
Oh, there's that symbol everyone hates.
Triquetra.
Yeah.
I was born with this curse.
A gift, John.
I thought I was about to hit him in the face.
Two frogs on a bench.
Two frogs on the bench. No, I'm the guy you just...
Don't get up. I'll report you to Zarias wherever you stand. Shh.
Mr. Constantine.
Go ahead.
Living alongside us. They call it balance.
What is he doing, John? What is he doing?
Take a deep one.
She left the necklace.
That was stupid.
He literally looks like a rotting pizza. Oh.
The spear actually just verified his death.
Yeah.
Bird on the way. Sorry. You dare in my house.
They did this in Supernatural too.
Mm-hmm.
Chaz.
You, best of all of us, Gabriel, should understand. Looks like someone doesn't have your back anymore. You're willing to give up your life so she can go to heaven. Fine. It's done. This one belongs to me. It's so truly big. It's your choice. It's always been your choice. Yeah. It's okay. Get used to it.
Something tells me you're not a flowers kind of guy. Why are you giving me this?
Rules.
So we just finished watching Constantine. Holden's new couch is the first time I've sat on it. I just want to point out there's a time while watching it where I was just like, the couch is a trap, guys. But anyway, the movie's awesome. Obviously, I love it a lot. There were a couple scenes that I didn't remember going into it. Like there was a scene with, I knew that the car hitting the guy in the very beginning when he got the spear. I knew that. I was like, Holden, check it out. But there were certain scenes where I didn't remember. Like I don't remember that the guy, the bald guy, that was like a scribe. I didn't remember that he died. The movie, I think, is great. I don't know anything about the comics. I knew it was based off of a comic. I didn't know it was Vertigo DC Comics. I thought it was like more of like a Dark Horse or like a Image Comics or something really off the beaten path. I think, oh, post-credit scene.
Oh. I had no idea.
I had no idea either.
You did good, kid.
The lighter. It's awesome.
Oh, it's the kid. Yeah, it's Shia LaBeouf.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Did you know about that?
I didn't. No.
Okay, that was dope. Holy crap. That's the first time that I've seen that. No one's ever even talked about that. But that's pretty cool. It kind of goes against, I think, what the Bible says about humans becoming angels. But I think it's still pretty cool. Yeah, so I'm eager to see what Holden thinks about it. But first, Jen, what do you remember about the movie? Did you know it was going to be, you know, did you remember it all? Or were you like me where you forgot certain parts?
Kind of like you, I forgot bits and pieces of it. I mainly forgot about the end scene with Lucifer. I didn't recall, or at least I didn't recall that much into detail, which I really, really liked. I forgot how good of a scene it was. I still love it. I think it was a great movie. Unlike Pastor and Holden, I don't know that much about religion, but I was still able to follow it, which I like. Visually, I thought it was a really well done movie. And of course, I think the acting was really, really well done. Rachel Weisz, especially, I think she did a great job. And poor Chaz. He was, I felt so bad. I forgot that he died, and it was a horrible death. But I love it. I think it's one of the great movies out there, so.
I remember feeling really bad for Chaz when I first saw the movie about him dying, because I was like, you know, finally gets his chance to shine and show that he can live the life and do it. And then all of a sudden I just see this post-credit. I'm like, I don't feel bad now. He's got contacts, got some CG wings. He's dope. It's fine. I really enjoyed Lucifer a lot. That was probably one of the better parts of the movie for me because
Pastor Leonard 2020. I really enjoyed Lucifer a lot.
the fact that he was wearing all white,
Yeah.
it was like a silk, almost like like linen, I guess, like almost like biblical kind of fabrics and stuff. But his feet were black with tar, and it was like to me it was like he can almost go for human, except he can't completely, almost like an Achilles heel kind of deal. That's how I took it when I first watched the movie. So that scene was awesome. The whole part of him getting back with to Gabriel and like saying, you know, someone doesn't have your back anymore, and being able to, you know, take the wings away from Gabriel, you know, taking her or him. I don't know if it was a genderless portrayal, which is another thing that I thought was really unique and awesome. Tilda Swinton is probably the only person who can pull that off. The end scene to me in this movie made the whole thing. Keanu did a really good job. I think they overdid the smoking thing a little bit too much. I think it was way too emphasized. I don't know if the comics are like that, but I think it was like 2 or 3 times a little too overdone. Holden, what did you think of Constantine, and would you ever watch it again?
This is one of those movies I wish that I would have taken notes throughout, because there were so many like little details that I know I'm gonna forget talking back. And people are gonna comment stuff and be like, oh yeah, I should have talked about that. First thing on my mind is Gabriel, because like I was like, oh, y'all made Gabriel a bad guy? That kind of sucks, because Gabriel's like one of like the top like archangels biblically and stuff. To make him like a bad guy, I was like, oh, okay, that kind of sucks. Anyway, I really enjoyed it. I really liked it a lot. It was a very unique movie. I feel like we don't get a whole lot of movies that are just it's not out there per se, but it very much just, it set up the universe at the beginning with Keanu going and being this exorcist, very experienced. They set that up very early on, and then I like this, like this world is sort of happening at the same time. You know, like there are just like exorcists and demons and angels and stuff just going to like this bar, you know, and they have to use like some sort of clairvoyance to even get in. I thought that was kind of neat. I thought using the spear was an interesting thing. It reminds me of like the Holy Grail. It's like these little artifacts that's like, well, where are they? Like, where would they be? And you could do that with just about anything. Like, you could do that with like a Shroud of Turin or something like that. Just like any article that has ever touched Jesus may have superpowers or whatever. But that was kind of, I enjoyed that. It's cool to think about, like, that could be somewhere out there somewhere. I like that it had that connection to the events that were leading up. The idea of like Satan having a son, and Gabriel being the one that's like trying to start this like Armageddon because of jealousy that angels would have towards people for having second chances, because that is biblical, because you know, people are the ones that are supposed to have, that can ask for redemption and ask for forgiveness. I like that they brought that up. That was kind of an interesting little tidbit. It would make sense that there would be some jealousy. The special effects really only bother me when they're like so bad, like when we watched X-Men Origins. When you don't even think about it, I think is that's a sign of a good VFX, and I think the VFX were fantastic in this. You had some of that kind of early mid-2000s CGI characters, like when they would show like the full demons and stuff. You could tell them, but it wasn't so drastic it took you out of it. That was my issue with Wolverine, is that there's those times where it just took you out of it. From a filmmaking standpoint, there were so many awesome scenes. I was actually wondering how they did the scene in the beginning where Isabel falls off, and it's just this one long continuous shot of her falling, hits the glass, and then hits the water. I thought that was really good. I don't know how they did that. I really don't, because I was like, well, is that a dummy? That's not VFX, or that's not CGI, so I don't know how they did that. That's very impressive.
It was awesome that you didn't realize the camera was underwater until she hit the
Right,
water.
right, yeah. So very clever. The whole part where it's like that long tracking shot of her being pulled through all the walls and Keanu's running and the camera's falling from the side. Very good cinematography. I thought the story itself was just really good. There was a lot that I liked about it. Obviously, it's a work of fiction, and I like mixing the fiction with like biblical. I don't even say Christianity. Yeah, just biblical references, Torah references, whatever. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was very good, and I would watch this again. I feel like upon a second, this is I took in a lot of information just now, and I'm trying to piece everything together. That's why I wish I would have taken notes, but I wasn't. I didn't know what to expect. I thought it was going to be good, but this is one that I will probably digest, and I would absolutely love to see this again.
Yeah, this is one of those movies where I'm kind of happy they didn't make a sequel, because I think it would have taken away from it, because it was such a first or beginning, middle, end kind of a story. We know that Keanu's gonna go about now. He's not gonna smoke anymore. He's gonna, you know, he's gonna live the right, go by the right path and everything. Because I don't remember if it was the official slogan of the movie, but it was one of the marketing campaigns on posters and stuff. It said, you know, it was a teaser of just a guy in a suit, like he was basically the whole movie, and with a cigarette in his hand, and it said, it was heaven rejects him, hell wants him, and earth needs him, was like what it was written on the bottom. And I was like, what is this about? Because I had no idea it was about a comic. So it was definitely one of those movies that I went into blind, and I think it's generally well accepted. I don't think anyone panned this movie. I don't think the critics gave it anything below, you know, 50% at the minimum. I'm going out there and guessing, but I don't think it got less than that on IMDb or Rotten Tomatoes or anything like that. There's a show. I know when we were renting this to watch it, we came across the show and you were like, which one is it, or what is it, you know? And I haven't seen anything like that about the show. So if the show's awesome, let me know in the comments if I should watch it or not. And yeah, I mean, for me, I would give this movie, especially upon rewatching it, probably a solid 7.5 to an 8. It wasn't perfect, but it was definitely a movie that went in for someone like me who didn't even know that it was about comic books. I went into it going, oh, it's going to be a supernatural, you know, movie with angels and demons. Sure. I like Legion, I like Priest and those kind of movies, so I was like, oh, I'll like this. Granted, this came out first, so yeah, I think a good solid 7.5 to an 8 is well deserved for this one. Jen, what would you give Constantine?
I think I would give it a 7.5. I really liked the story. You know, initially looking at it, you wouldn't, even though he's an exorcist type, you wouldn't see how Isabel story correlates with him, you know, and how those come together. So I really like how they did that. I think that they did it very well with like the special effects. I felt like it was used appropriately when it was called for. So I would say a 7.5.
All right, yeah, I could do that. I mean, that's typically what I gave it. Pretty high 7, low 8. Holden, what would you give Constantine?
This is gonna be one that I'm gonna have to think about for a while, I think, just in terms of the actual movie. I really like the end. There's this mentality of trying to buy your way into heaven, and he keeps talking about the rules. You know, if you kill yourself, that's a guaranteed hell. That's really from a Catholic perspective, pretty much only. Obviously, I think that Protestants probably believe in that, but it is written, you know, in the Catechism, suicide is eternal damnation. So they built their rules around the Catholic faith. Even having priests and being an exorcist is pretty Catholic. I really liked even the idea of like buying your way into heaven reminds me of like indulgences, which is how the Catholic Church used to scam people into trying to buy their relatives' way out of purgatory, which is not the case anymore, but there was that period of time that was bad for Catholics. Upon all Christian faith, there is no buying your way into heaven, you know. But I did like how at the end, you know, where he did so much good in that sacrifice, you know, where I think Satan was even like, the sacrifice. Because there's a verse where Jesus says, you know, there's no greater love than for one to lay down his life for his friends, and that's what he was doing for Isabel. He was going to trade her place, and that sacrifice. It may be movie trope cliche at this point, but I really like that's what stopped him from going. And I love the visual representation of him pulling him, and you just see like this invisible force just keeping him from going. I thought that was really cool. And then when he's like being lifted up into heaven, and he flicks him off in the background, I thought that was hilarious. That was awesome. I thought it was clever to have Satan be like, yeah, I can either let you go to heaven, or I can keep you on earth to give you more chances to screw up. So I thought that was kind of cool too. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Upon first viewing, I would actually probably give this like an 8. I really, really liked it.
A lot of people didn't catch the whole why Satan did that. I know at one point I was a little confused. I was like, well, why would maybe God made him take the cancer away from him? Like, I was a little confused when I first saw that, but then I realized how you just realized, hey, why not just keep him there, give him more chances? I think a lot of it is because now, especially doing this series and the series on your channel, we watch movies with subtitles, and I didn't really hear what Satan whispered in his ear at the very end. I think that's when he says, you know, more chances for you to screw up. I don't think I caught that line, so that's another reason why watching movies with subtitles is awesome. That's pretty much going to cover for this one. I'm glad that you enjoyed it. This is one of those movies in the back of my mind that I didn't even think about bringing up, because I figured you saw it, especially with the references and stuff. But I'm glad that it's something that we were able to share together, even though your couch, man, it's a good couch, dude. That's a good couch, yeah. I almost fell asleep. Of course, the dogs made that easy. Get a Boston shot. Okay. Falcons over there on a heated blanket. Dope. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you want to support the channel directly, I have a Patreon link in the description below, as well as a Teespring link. I'm going to have everyone's channel that you guys know already, most of you. If you don't, check out the links in the description below. Leave this video a like and subscribe if you haven't for more content like this, and I will see you in the next video very soon. I love y'all. Take it easy.